a kiddly-divey-do.
Goats and nosy, goats and little
Lambsy-divey,
a
kiddly-divey-do.
wouldn't you? There's
Goats and nosy,
goats and little
Lambsy-divey,
a
divey-do.
wouldn't you?
If the words sound queer, funny to your ear, a little bit mumbled and tumbled and jumbled and jivey, sing mares eat oats, does eat oats, little lambs eat ivy.
There's
Goats and nosy,
Goats and little
Lambsy-divey,
a kiddly
divey-do.
wouldn't you?
Ooh, a kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you? Oh, Mersey, goats and nosy, goats and little lambsy-divey, a kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you? A kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you? A kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you? A kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you? A kiddly-divey-do, wouldn't you?
It was just
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
And there we have it. We're back, guys. Don't normally do a Monday night stream, but I'm going to be traveling over the next few days, and I'm not sure I'll be able to do a Wednesday or Friday night stream. And so here we are. Here we go. So I'm going to start off tonight. Normally I've been doing a little bit of the whatever's in the news, but to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit. So trying to put a handle on a lot of things that have been kind of going around in my kind of personal life, but also not, amongst my friends and whatnot. And figured I'd just share them here. Why not? You guys are good people, right? You're got stuff going on. You're good listeners. And hey, it may be a tale of warning. As you might have seen from the thumbnail I put up, schoolyard rules. That's where we learn to become men. And I've been watching some podcasts the last couple of days that have a lot to do with red pill, black pill, whatever fucking pills that are out there. And to be honest with you, once you're men, it's kind of too fucking late. I know nobody wants to hear that. I know that nobody wants to, come up from that. Sorry, guys, I got to mute my phone. I always forget this. I do apologize, but I am somewhat busy, unfortunately. So, sorry about that. Well, how unfucking professional of me. So schoolyard rules. That's where we learn to become men, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about becoming men, because I think it's an interesting thing And I really think that men in general are kind of fucked. Okay. And once you become a man, I don't care how many people tell you to be this way or act this way or change your life in this way. It should have started long before that. It really should have, and unfortunately, it doesn't for most people. Now, I was one of the fortunate ones, and I think I've shared this a few times um, with various people. I I was like I was born really kind of like dirt poor. My um, family, my extended family could probably be considered middle class. I mean, my grandparents worked hard. They had they owned their own home. They were able to take a vacation here and there. They had a retirement fund way back when. But what I understood very early on is that all that planning can go away pretty quickly. But that we're getting ahead of ourselves. So when I was growing up, as a troubled kid, if you talk to any school system that I was a part of prior to going to military school, um, and it was really um, an interesting dynamic because on the one hand, I'm this guy that does really really well. I get really good grades. Get really really positive marks and feedback, um, but in other ways, I'm absolutely um, the last guy anybody wanted to talk to. Right? Like I got in a lot of fights. Which was normal back when I was in school. Not normal today, but pretty normal when I was in school. Um, I was made fun of because from everything from my clothes to my hair to how often I was took a bath, which was guessed at. I mean, I bathed regularly, but I was all the things that kids can make fun of another kid about. I was that guy. I was the kid that was made fun of, and I think it's a really interesting dynamic to talk about because nowadays we have all of these rules about bullying and whatnot, but none of them really, to me, mean shit. Um, and I don't know that they're much more than a feel good measure. So I did go to military school, and while I was there, we read a lot of books there, oddly, and a bunch of not really self-help books, but one of the books that I was really particularly enamored with were by this guy Campbell Loftmiller, and Campbell Loftmiller was he's just a really interesting dude, and he ran a camp for troubled boys down in Texas back in like the 50s and 60s, maybe the 40s. I don't really know. And kind of his claim to fame was developing this camp and the success that it had in turning these unwanted young men into men, right? Like, and they came from all walks of life, right? Like they were from really rich families that just couldn't handle little Johnny's outbursts anymore. They came from the various other um, outlets, if you will, the school systems, the the it's just really a varied allotment. Even came from the Department of which they didn't really have a Department of Juvenile Services back then, but they came they were troubled kids, and he developed a really interesting method of dealing with them, which was called a wilderness camp. It was a wilderness camp. He pioneered that concept, and in the mid '80s or '90s, something like that, late '80s maybe. Um, they were all the rage. They were everywhere. And I actually worked at one when I was in college, which was interesting that I had the experience of reading the books and then I chose to work in one when I was in college. So now part of this is going to be a little odd to talk about, but young men in today's modern and modernity, if you will, in today's age, young men, and by young men, I mean boys between the age of, say, 9, 10, 11, up to about 18, um, because then they're adults. But young men are constantly told that they are fucked up, that they are worthless, that they are not smart, that women are better than them, they mature faster than them. Literally everything about a young man's life he's told is terrible when he grows up. And if he demonstrates any manly characteristics, if he is aggressive, if he stands up for himself, if he talks back to people because they're deriding him, he's seen as a problem. And he is dealt with harshly. And this is why we have such fucked up men today. Women want to talk about why men, where have all the good men gone? Well, you fucking ruined them. You fucking ruined them. You know, you tell a young boy whose natural tendency is to go defend himself or defend his siblings or defend his parents from other people, from other young men, or from a nasty group of little girls, or whatever, whoever the fuck it is. His natural tendency to go defend him, you tell him he's fucking wrong for doing it. And then when he turns 18, you want him to defend the country. This is the most fucked up thing I have ever conceived of, and yet happens every day, and I witnessed it growing up. This is one of the reasons why I am the way that I am, is because I looked around at the reality of the situation. And young men, boys, are being bumfucked by every system in our country. All of them. Every single system. We are sorry, I have a guy here who probably wants to leave because he's doing the tile work. But I can't talk to him right now because I'm on stream. So yeah, anyway, so at the end of the day, there's no reality where young men do not have that where they're not fucked up. They just are. And they're going to be fucked up. There's no out for them. And it's unfortunate, right? It's really unfortunate. There's no way to deal with this because our system is so slanted. Okay? I don't think you understand that. I mean, I know that there's probably all four of you guys, five guys, however many people we got listening to this right now. You're all sitting there saying, it's not that bad. Dude, you were fucked up on this one. You just don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, I fucking know what I'm talking about. I promise you I am. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And the reason that I know what I'm talking about is because I watched it happen over and over and over again. And I still to this day watch it happen. My own son, all of the schools, everybody was very, very aggressive in telling me that I should have him checked out by his doctor, even though there was no problem with my son. He's just a normal boy. And we have all of these jackasses running around now saying that I'm a sheepdog. I am the wolf. What the fuck ever, dude? Where are you? Where are you when it comes to young men? Where are you? Are you mentoring? Are you truly mentoring? What the fuck's up? And so I'm pretty heated about this because it's kind of an issue that I've watched for my entire life, and I've now that of course I'm a dad now, been a dad now for 13 years, and it means a lot to it really means a lot in the space of how things work, that we can get things done. And there's no way at all for there to be there's no way, there's no room. Look, there's just no room anymore for kids to be kids, for young men to be young men. Worse, we have horrible role models for them to follow. And then we are always concerned about how young men follow these role models. So it's a very interesting thing to me, and I can't understand how we got to, well, I mean, I do understand exactly how we got to where we are. What I have a real problem understanding is why, with everything that we know, why is it still that way? Why are young men treated so poorly in society? Why are they not valued? You know, women are valued from the moment they're born. Women are valued, and they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. A young boy is valued until he becomes a problem, and this is a problem, and we have to change it. You guys have to change it. The people that are listening to this know people that have families, and they should be talking to people about, hey, maybe you ought to teach your son to be a man. Be a fucking dad. I tell people that all the time. I still do. My son's in Boy Scouts. Why? Because he needs to learn how to be a fucking man. I've treated my son like he was a miniature adult since he was like 7 years old. He to this day will say yes sir, no sir, Mr., Mrs., all of it. He's always told that he's the most polite kid at school. Do you know why? Because if he's not polite, if he comes out, if I hear that he is being a dick, if I hear that he is not being a perfect young man, not perfect, reasonable, then dude, it's tough for him. It's going to be a tough day. And it's going to be a tough day because at the end of the day, he doesn't just have to deal with the school teacher and the system and all of that. He has to deal with dad. And he knows he has to deal with dad. You know, it's very apparent that he's going to have to deal with dad. And so I don't know what else to tell you guys, you know, on this subject. I do think that young men are getting a raw deal, and I don't know how we can change that. I really want to understand how we can change it, and I really want to understand how things can be better. But unfortunately, I just don't see it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about. We're going to move right into the next subject. So I have a friend of mine. He might actually be watching this, and if he is, hey, I don't mean to out you, dude. I'm just I gotta be honest, right? Like this is how it's got to be. So so I got a buddy of mine. He's like a really good dude. Well, I mean, most of my friends are really good dudes, but this guy's like a really good dude. He's a um salt of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like legit, like super good dude. And he's for a while now, he's had a rough time. So again, which I think this just happens at maybe when you get my age, but this dude has like all of his family have passed in about the last year and a half. He has an ex-wife. I mean, I think he has two ex-wives. I don't know. I don't keep count. He's kind of a Chad. He's kind of a he works out. He does all the things, and he's pretty. Like again, he's a super good dude. And at the end of the day, I think and obviously, I think he really means well. But for a little while now, he's basically been seen as a, for lack of a better word, he's basically seen as a wallet by his daughter. I think I think there's a lot of people in his life that he's been helping to support, which is what a man does. That's the thing, is that we always have to understand that men support people, right? we're again taught that. And we'll get back to the young kids. Yeah, you know what, right? I'll get to the specific examples. Let me just tell you about my buddy here for a second. So my buddy, is my buddy has a daughter. I don't know how old she is. I think she's probably in her mid-20s, and she came into some money. I'm not going to say how. She came into some money, and he and she basically ghosted her dad. Right? Didn't need him. Don't need him for anything. So she moved to somewhere to a foreign country where it's actually pretty cheap to live for the most part. Um, and I think she's a singer or something like that. I'm talking to him today, and I'm not going to put all of it out there. It's his business. But the interesting part to us is that he. The interesting part for us is that he went to a he went through this phase where he's been, like I said, I think for the last year and a half, he's been paying a lot of other people's bills because they either were sick or they couldn't work or whatever. And he's been paying his daughter's bill, her rent, for several months. I would say probably about the last 6 months. And finally he said, you know what? This is my year. My last year sucked for me. My last year was terrible. This is my year now. I have a girlfriend I like. I have I have a good job. I'm making more money I've ever made in my life. And I'd love to help you, but you're an adult and you need to go, pay for your own shit. And she ghosted him, right? Like she just doesn't even talk to him, doesn't call him nothing. Like best buddies when he's paying the rent, right? And this is where society's at. We see this, and this isn't necessarily like a 304. This isn't this is like, some dude's little girl. And like we all say, and yet here she is, she doesn't get her way. Dad doesn't foot the bill anymore. Doesn't need him. Her own dad. Think about that. They might, and this is how women treat men. And I told you I'd circle back, and this is where it is. See, the thing is between feminism, the emasculation of men, the dumbing down of young boys, we're in a culture, we're at a point in culture where men are really truly seen as disposable, and they're not needed, until they're needed, and then they want them, and then they want them to go away. And it's sad. I mean, it's totally sad. And it starts when we're kids, and it ends when we die. And that's got to change. So, right, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how truly terrible we are to young men. So I have knowledge of. Shouldn't reveal how I know this. I have knowledge of a young man. He's about 12 years old, actually, probably 13, and he does not do well in school. He's very smart, reads, does math pretty decently well, I think. I don't know for certain if he does math. I haven't graded his papers or anything. But he does pretty good. But he doesn't like to sit still in school. Same old story that we've always heard, right? Like super energetic. So the first thing that happens is he's slapped with this that he's got ADHD. But he doesn't actually get diagnosed for it. The school tells his parents, I don't know the exact conversation. I have secondhand knowledge of this. Please don't rake me over the coals. But I had a conversation similar, so I'm going to tell you about my conversation went with my son was, your son's very active. He doesn't pay attention. He seems very distracted all the time. Have you talked to his doctor? Because schools in Tennessee will get sued if they attempt to make a diagnosis and tell you that your son has ADHD or has a problem. So this kid's family, I know them. They go through the whole thing, right? They take him to a psychologist who sends him to a psychiatrist who prescribes various drugs. I'm not really sure which ones. I'm not privy to that information, nor do I want to be. Kid gains a massive amount of weight, like horrible. And now, not only is he not, so he used to be picked on because he used to never get picked on, and he used to get picked for all the teams. He had a lot of energy. He was, fit, young man, fit in pretty well in school. Other than he didn't pay attention in class, which, I mean, seriously, 13-year-old dude. Shocker if he pays attention in class. So he goes from that in the space of about 8 months. Dude's put on 20 pounds. Kids are making fun of him because he's fat, even though in theory, not supposed to do that. They're fucking kids. They're going to do it anyway. Now he's depressed. Now he goes back to the psychiatrist, more drugs. Dude's on I don't know. It's a handful. It's a handful of fucking pills, dude. And he takes them every fucking day, even on camping trips. He takes them every fucking day. The kids like this, like fucking this. All that kid really needed was to get outside a little more, get away from the video games for a little while, and fucking be a kid. But yet we do not allow that anymore. That's not something that's even tried. It's not even attempted. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% right, but I'm saying it was never even attempted. The way forward is always drugs now, almost always. So, and that's an abuse in and of itself. When I was working in the wilderness school years ago, and I mean, dude, it was fucking hilarious. You have no fucking clue. I remember there was one kid who walked in and he kept, it's a fucking wall tent. It's a wilderness school. You're out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Well, not nowhere. You're on basically a converted farm that's been converted into a school campus that has cabins and tents. And these guys were in platform tents. So the kids walking in trying to turn the fucking light on in a tent. Like, this guy had never been out of the city before. And this kid, he was messed up for a while, but he eventually became a really good kid. I watch kids go in there on all kinds of drugs with all kinds of problems and come out useful members of society, right? Like actual, gainfully employed, I think, college bound. Well, we can talk about the women being more medicated than young men, but women are medicated for a different reason and not as young. Women are medicated because when they get older, because they go through the like symptoms of depression and whatnot, because they're bored and they don't have fulfilling lives. Young men are literally they're abandoned by our schools. I mean, they really are. I hesitate to go too far into it based on my own experience. But dude, I had to fight to keep them from medicating my son, who was a normal kid. Like, they really wanted him to be on drugs so that he would be calmer in class. And that's fucking abuse, dude. I don't care what anybody says. That's just fucking abuse. Drugging kids to achieve a behavior that you want is fucked up and wrong. We, again, and I've had this talk many, many times. We need to get rid of the Socratic. We need to go back to more of a Socratic method of teaching and get rid of this Prussian style teaching that we're using. And we got to get rid of it. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, I just can't do it. There's no, there's no good faith. I think that's the best way I can put it. There's no good faith right now in any of the discussions schools have with parents. The schools are only motivated to keep their classrooms calm. They don't want to deal with rambunctious kids. They don't want to deal with kids that have problems, that are aggressive or do childlike things and exhibit childlike behaviors. They don't want to deal with it, so they don't. So what they do is they come to parents and they recommend strongly that, well, your kid needs to be on drugs, right? And parents don't know any better because the school's supposed to be the expert, or the school has been portrayed as the experts. And so then they go to the doctor, and the doctors do what doctors do. I mean, we all know that I distrust all physicians, and I think they're all nuts. But I'm not going to I don't know what else to do about it myself. I would like to. Um, uh, I don't really know what to. I'm sorry, guys. I got like messages coming in left and right. I apologize. I got distracted. See, even I can get distracted. I'm a grown ass old man. But there's other ways that okay. So let me veer away um, from the drug aspect of it, because that could be uncomfortable for some people. All right. So young men, and again, I'm talking about specifically probably 12 to 18-year-olds. If a girl gets in trouble, she gets a slap on the wrist. If a boy gets in trouble, he will get suspended. He could be sent to juvenile detention. More than likely, he's going to be involved in some kind of outside therapy, which his parents will have to pay for. And if they can't pay for it, then they go into debt over it. And so the system is not balanced, and it's not. I don't think it's intended to be. I really, I think they really, and I don't know how to really put this. I don't think that they intend the system to be balanced. I think it, again, we just go back to the inevitable creep of feminism and socialism into our schools, and that takeover has led to this idea that you can't have a proper school with um, sorry, guys. I apologize. See, I don't normally stream on Monday nights, so people are reaching out, and I got to do stuff. All right, and so there we go. I got done with that. So back to the subject at hand. Apologize once again. Look, it's just the system is rigged against young men, and unfortunately, yeah, this is right. This is a good way. It's not that honestly, it's not what the public schools are afraid of what the young men can become. It's that they're afraid of having to teach young men how to become young men. They don't want to. They don't feel like they need to, and they feel like the closer they can keep young men to young women, the better off they are. And that's wrong, and it's a pretty fucked up thing to do when you think about it. And it is the root cause of so many young men feeling disillusioned, disproportionately doing all of the bad things, not just because they're young men. Let me throw this one up here. They tend to be more productive using their hands than sitting at a desk. So look, I really dislike, and I understand that so many people have been believing in ADHD, ADD, whatever, since for the last 35, 40 years or whatever. But even the guy who came up with the diagnosis of ADD and ADHD has come out since and said, "Hey, I'm probably wrong, and it could just be kids being kids and boys being boys and just high energy levels and that sort of thing, and bad behavior." Now, there are obviously bad kids with bad behavior. There are obviously kids that cannot be saved. I wouldn't want to say that. Uh, and there's no real way to kind of go along with this, except how I put this. I don't believe. See, I've never believed in ADD. I've never believed in ADHD. I believe that there are some people that are mentally ill, but it just never fit anything that I knew. And all of the kids that came into the program that I worked at that supposedly had ADD, ADHD on all these drugs, we took them off literally the minute they came into the program, they were off all those meds. And they ended up fine. They ended up being off them for the rest of their lives. So to me, you will never be able to convince me otherwise. Don't try. Don't throw up a bunch of crap about statistics or anything. Just don't bother. I believe what I have seen with my eyes, and I have seen young men come in taking a handful of freaking drugs a day, and 8 months later, 10 months later, 12 months later, whatever, length of time they were there in camp, they walk out, none of that shit applies. So, and it fucks you up. I mean, my biggest problem with all of these drugs is we don't really know what it does to each individual type. And so why are we playing, to use a term from earlier today, Russian roulette with people's lives? That seems dumb. That seems really stupid. And I don't believe that that's the way it should be. All right, Austin. I was on Ritalin, and that drug made me do some crazy things. Yeah, right. I mean, it's a fucking drug, people, and we don't know what it's going to do to your brain chemistry. Austin, by the way, I think you're watching on my Grid 1 page. You should probably look for the Unreasonable Man page. Somebody will throw it up in the link. And somebody can throw you a link, or I'll do it here in a minute. Jess the nurse. I think she was a nurse. I'm not really sure. She plays nurse, apparently. Some MRI studies say SSRIs affect gray matter in the brain. Yes, that's true. It also severely affects sex drive in women. It can actually make women not want to have sex with and cause marital issues. I know someone who has been through that, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's Based Oracle is up in the house. What's up, Based? Man, I'm glad that you're around, dude. You missed out on the first part where I was ranting about how we're sabotaging young men. But I do believe that we are, and I will always believe that. Nobody can change my mind about it. I've just seen too much, been too far on the other side. I am doing fine, Based. I am doing just fine. Here, let me and again, I really hate to keep pushing this back on feminism, but that's exactly what has happened. Is we have women teaching men. I said, here, my biggest problem is that I've never had a male teacher tell me that my son was too active or too anything. If anything, they think he's kind of lazy. I've never had a male instructor of any kind tell me as a parent that my son was anything but curious, inquisitive, energetic. So those are all positive words. On the other side of that, wrong way. On the other side of that, I have women who tell me my son is distracted, confused, rambunctious, won't sit still, uncontrollable. So you understand what my problem is, just from a parent's point of view. Now you go that globally, right? Like you just throw that out there globally, and dude, now we're talking a bunch of absolutely jackass things going on out there that we should not we shouldn't put up with. You know what I mean? and it's and I've got a lot of stories like this. Honestly, I mean, I could go down the row. I mean, I've had, I knew a kid who was sent into the program that I worked at because he just he his only crime in the world that I could that anybody knew about, and the whole reason that he was there is because he got pissed and threw a lunch tray at somebody or something, and it's fucked up, dude. It's terrible. Um, so what is that guy? What was that kid's name that was earlier? I mean, he's not a kid, but here we go. And yeah, so yeah, okay. Austin, I am throwing up the link to the actual Unreasonable Man page where you can, or the YouTube page, so you can go look at that. And let's see. Let's go. So we got a lot of we got a lot of good stuff going on here in chat tonight. I was actually planning on just fucking monologuing for 2 fucking hours, but we'll do this. I like this. Ticky Tack says I have some pretty decent knowledge of mental illness. We talk for hours on a subject. ADD it does exist, but it's overdiagnosed and treated with meds way before developing better habits. I obviously I disagree on it actually existing, but I do know that there are better if someone is presenting with ADD symptoms, then there are better ways to treat it than the way we are currently treating it. And I really like what my boy Strana says here. Boys act differently with male and female teachers. This is a high point. And I think that you cannot stress that enough. It's absolutely 100% true. Young men around women, especially really young men, they do not have the respect that they give men, and they do not show the deference because they really don't know how to act around women, and they haven't learned how to act around women. And so, and this is actually one of the reasons why so many men have trouble dealing with women is because they've been dealing with teachers their whole lives that fuck them over, and nobody wants to deal with that. So, yes, misdiagnosed a lot. Turns out to be trauma, just OCD. Yeah. Holy shit, dude. This guy says he has ADD, was put on Ritalin, and come down was worse than the ADD. I thought I was gay. Well, I mean that's fucked up right there. I tried jumping off a roof. I cried for hours. It was a dangerous drug. Yes, drugs. Look, we don't need half of the drugs we got. We really don't need to be a part of it. And there are better ways out there, really, to I think that there's just better ways that we need to be approaching this, and there's absolutely no excuse for how young boys and young men are treated in our society today. There just isn't. There's no excuse for it at all. And I really wish that, and it goes all the way through. As I was talking about my buddy, his daughters ghosted him and all that. It goes all the way through to when you're an adult. I mean, it does. Women will use you. Women will think that you're that they can do whatever they want. And again, this all goes back to feminism and the feminist culture. Now, not necessarily feminism. I keep saying feminism when what I really mean is feminist culture, which is what we have going on right now. And yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know how more to. I don't know really a lot more to say about that. And it's pretty fucking terrible. There's a whole bunch of people out there in the world that there's a whole bunch of young men out there in the world who are in absolute agony mentally and sometimes physically for no damn good reason other than that someone somewhere thought that they were being a bully, someone thought they were being whatever. And now, you look at the Me Too movement where you basically were told you have to believe the woman, but you didn't have, but the man, who gives a shit about the man's, outlook, because who cares? Doesn't matter. He could be lying, but the woman, we have to assume that she's telling the truth, regardless of any facts to the contrary, regardless of those. And that's pretty fucked up. I mean, I don't know actually any other word to say than that's just fucked up. And so it's rough. It's a rough life, guys. It's rough out there, out on the mean streets. There's nothing out there that young men can do except look for people to help them, and look for people to lead them forward. And so, I'm it's kind of a rant, and the reason that I kind of ranted on this evening is because I'm listening to some programs that for material, not really material, but I was just listening to stuff, and I was listening to one's family's struggle with their son, who I don't know these people, but I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, that sounds like a normal kid. Why is this kid being sent to juvenile hall? Why is this kid being sent? What is going on here? And it's really fucking pathetic. And then it carries through adulthood. We all know this, right? Like, we all know that if two people get pulled over, one's a dude, the other's a girl. The girl's probably going to go home. Dude's going to jail. Just the way it is. If if they get pulled over drinking, more than likely, chick's gonna, the cop's gonna be like, oh yeah, you go ahead and call your dad or whatever, and whatever. Dude's going to jail. Just is. That's the way it is. There's no leniency. And so when men check out, and they say, look, I just don't give a fuck anymore, and I'm not going to do it. Fuck all you guys. It's none of my, you didn't want me. I'm not going to be here. It's that easy. When men do that, all of a sudden it's a fucking problem. All of a sudden, we're all the good men for all these women to marry. You fucking ruined them. Why are men not more thoughtful? Well, when they were thoughtful, when they were trying to be energetic and do things, you told them to sit down and shut the fuck up. You can't have it both ways. You want it both ways, but you can't have it both ways. Yeah, I know that there's a whole genre of body cam footage on YouTube of entitled women trying to talk themselves out of DUIs. And it is hilarious. I actually watch a lot of that stuff. Where I did, I went through a period of time a few months ago where I thought that was the funniest fucking thing ever. And I've actually, I'm sorry. I was gonna out one of my friends, but they might be fucking watching. I doubt it. We only get 7 people, so that's fine. Yeah. So there's a whole network of bullshit that young men go through, and it kind of touched home today because my son's, he's young, and we got a lot going on, and we have to tell him, we've had to tell him repeatedly that he can never be alone with a little girl, ever, never, and never be alone with 2 little girls, because one will lie for the other. And I know I've said that many times, and I will continue to say that because it's fucking true. It's fucking true. And men, there's just a report today. Was it today? It might have been a couple of months ago. I may have read. I don't remember the date on it. I don't know if it was dated today. It seems like it might have been. I looked at a lot of shit the past few days. I was looking at this report because my wife kind of brought up something when last time I talked to her. Did you know that executive men will not be alone with women period. They don't want to work with them. They don't want to work near them. They don't want anything, because with this Me Too movement, these women go out and they basically can make any claim, and it ruins this dude's life. Even before he goes to court, even before anything else, it ruins his life. And again, it tracks all the way back to fucking elementary school. Men get fucked the whole way if we don't play along, if we don't play the game, if we don't do the thing. Why? Why? I was listening to an Andrew Wilson podcast today. It was a great one. He was on a panel with there was a panel of kind of against him, Rollo and James something or the other, a bunch of other dudes. This fucking great podcast. If I remember which one it is, I will link it so that you guys can go watch it, because it's fucking awesome. Andrew is a killer in this podcast. And one of the things that was said was that Andrew's talking about how men and women are different, and marriage. And I think the biggest subject matter was marriage as a contract in a state sense versus Andrew's obvious belief of being in the of it being moving it to a church overseen venture, and he doesn't understand why secular people would ever want to get married. I agree with that, especially since marriage is a losing ass contract for men. And Andrew made the point. Pardon me. Andrew made the point that several times that women lie. I mean, they do, and they will lie, and they will fuck you over. And there's nobody that will believe you if you're a dude. It doesn't matter. It does not matter how good a dude you are. If a woman says that you hit her, the court will believe her over you. If you say that a woman hit you, there's no fucking way that a court is gonna side with a dude without like a lot of it. Like you're gonna have to have some pretty fucking good evidence, dude. I'm just telling you. And Andrew was fucking stellar in this in this discussion, this debate, because these guys are talking about some pretty interesting. I mean, they were mostly in agreement, honestly, with Andrew, but they just didn't want to admit it. And he was really right down the line. But one of the big things, man, is you can't trust women. Feminism and feminist culture. I gotta quit saying feminism by itself. Feminist culture has worked its way into everything, and it is anti-men. It makes men, less manly. It just does. It's what it's geared to do. It's meant to push the system so far to one side that you don't even realize that there's a middle. What you think is the middle is still their side. And that's where we are right now. That's exactly what's happening. And we've given them control of the education system. We've given them control of a lot of things that we really shouldn't have. Well, I'm really the fuck out of focus there. I don't know why. Oh, well. Sorry. Yeah, that's true. Third wave feminism is intrinsically anti-male. Look, it just is. Okay, you cannot. There's nothing useful about it. Like, honestly, it does nothing but hurt women. It hurts men, and then it hurts women. And then women wonder why men do not want to be with men. Or pardon me, men do not want to be with women who treat them like crap. Women want to know why they're single and knows prospects at 30. And it's fucked up, man. It just is. Use intersectionality. That's too long a word for me, pal. It's too long a word. I appreciate the help, but I'm just going to use feminist culture because it's not just feminist. It's the feminist culture because even men who purport to be male, um, whatever, pro man, I guess, even they accept the feminist culture. They do. It's the feminist culture. Feminism in and of itself is kind of irrelevant. Um, and yeah, this is accurate. I don't. We'll get into politics another night. Folks that were considered center on politics 10 years ago now considered right leaning to most of the left. Absolutely. And honestly, most of the people on the right would be considered most of the people on the right now would be considered leftist back decades ago, and that's just the truth of it. I really like the truth. It really means a lot to me, and I think that we need to try to get there as much as possible, even when we can't necessarily document it or whatever. We just happen, and it's intrinsically um, a truism, I guess. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to move on a little bit. We're still going to be talking about kind of the same issue, but we're going to use I'm going to use another illustrative story from my past, and I'm going to, and I've told this before, and sometimes men do win, and so years ago, I was 21, probably. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I was 20 or 21. It's pretty young kid, young guy, a mover, a shaker, getting shit done out there, big city, my little town, and I worked really hard. I worked really hard as a movie theater manager. I managed movie theaters in college because between that and being a security guard, I could do my homework while I was working and get paid to do my homework. And I was going to do it anyway, so might as well just sit around and get paid for it. But one of the things I did is I started racing, and I started racing originally in an MG Midget 1500, which was a pretty cool little car. But it's one of those cars that makes a lot of noise, and you hear it, and it's just screaming. It sounds like a Formula One car, and then you look up, and it's like, and it's just slow, and it's really stupidly slow. In retrospect, now at the time, I thought it was fucking fast. Then I moved up. I moved up into a 924 GT3, which was a Porsche. It started out life as a D, um, uh, D mod, which they don't have anymore. D mod's gone. It's GT3 now. They start mod at E now, I think, or still. I don't know. I hadn't looked in years. But this was all club racing, and this was back when, to get to the SCCA runoffs nationally, you had to actually show up at races and get points. And if you didn't get enough points, you didn't get invited. It was an invitational, and so the runoffs. And they changed it a few years later. Maybe just a couple of years later, to be where you just basically could buy your way in. You just had to pay a bigger entry fee or some shit. I don't know because I didn't go. But I had this 924 GT3, pretty cool little car. It was what we call a tub car, which means that it did not start out as a tube frame like a lot of the GT cars did, but it actually started out as a production car that was gradually cut away to where it was a bunch of tubes and the original 924 tub and the roof, I think, were the original parts on the car. So I was trying really, really hard to make it to the runoffs, and I was doing what I call racing on a credit card, and that means I didn't actually have the money, but I made almost enough, and I figured between the credit card and working more hours and eating ramen for like ever, I didn't do anything else. I didn't go to movies because I worked there. I didn't do anything that wasn't free. This was the only thing I did. So we're I'm about almost to the end of the season. So there are very few events left, and I had a partner in the car too. I should say, I had a partner in the car to start out with, and um, he had actually cost me a race or two because he damaged the car at the first of the two Road Atlanta races that year, and we had a kind of a falling out, and I took over the car completely. So I go to one of like two events where I could still get points, enough points to get invited to the runoffs in my class. Again, look, I work. So the way I had to work it was I had to work until late Thursday. Then I could take off Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I could be back Sunday. Usually I could be back Sunday night and work Sunday night shift, or I'd do Monday because it's movie theater. Not that demanding. So as I'm doing all of this, as I'm going through the motions of getting ready, it's just terrible. Have to leave. I can't leave the theater until my relief manager shows up. I would then turned it over to him. Then I hauled ass. Now I was in Nashville. The race was in Memphis at Memphis Motorsports Park. So it wasn't that big a deal, but it was kind of a big deal to get there. But I haul ass and I make it. I get there. I think I got there like 9 o'clock at night, and I ended up having I'm losing my mind here. I ended up getting there in time enough to meet everybody who had been at the track all day practicing and fixing their cars and shit like that. I met them for dinner. It's always a late dinner at the track, so I meet them for dinner. And I have not been on the track. I've never been to that track before. I had never seen the track except in pictures. There were back then you couldn't go watch 10 YouTube videos of it, and I didn't have any time on this track whatsoever, which is important later. I'm sitting around at dinner and I'm asking the other guys, "Hey, what do you think of the track? What's going on? Where your head's at? What are you doing? What are you thinking?" And they gave me all the info. And then as we're kind of finishing up, one of the guys says maybe a little too much alcohol. And so he starts getting really honest. He says, "Look, man, the one thing you have to watch out for is that E-Prod Datsun B210. I said, "Why is that?" And I said, "Well, it's driven by this girl, and her dad is the RE, the regional executive." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. What's the problem there?" And I honestly thought that they were just going to tell me that she was nuts or crazy or would like the cut of my jib in my driver's suit or some bullshit. I didn't honestly think that much about it. But then they continued, and what they did is they said the problem is that this girl is not a good driver, and she drives in her mirrors, which means she's really not focused on what's actually going around. She's just going from mirror to mirror, and she's run into guys. She had a lot of problems. She had a lot of problems actually, and crashed some people out, caused guys to basically lose entire events as they're lapping her, because as they're coming around, they're faster than she is, and she'll just pull up into them. So I thought, man, that sucks. This is bad. And I actually, it kept me awake that night. I couldn't really sleep. I was like really fucked up about this whole deal. I was trying to think, what do I do if this dumbass accidentally takes me out of, if she takes me out of this race, I won't get enough points. I can't go to the runoffs. This is a fucking big deal. So I think about this all night. and I'm going to preface this by saying that I was in my youth. I was. I mean, I'm not a nice person now. I know that it seems like I'm a nice person and I'm very pleasant to be around, but I'm really not that nice. But I was a fucking asshole in my youth. I was a respectful asshole, but I was an asshole. And I knew I was an asshole. I was absolutely a dick. And so um and I was aggressive, which the argument can be made I'm still aggressive, but we'll continue forward. We'll soldier on. So this stupid girl um bothers me on I'm like I can barely sleep. I get to the track next morning now. Understand that since I didn't qualify, since I didn't get there until Thursday night, or I got pardon me, Friday night. Since I didn't get there until Friday night, Saturday morning was the first time I'd seen the track, and we race on Saturdays, so it's because you race Saturday and Sunday. So I didn't qualify. I don't have a qualifying time. So this sucks. So I have to start from pit lane, right? And basically what's going to happen is a whole field is going to go around on the formation lap, and as they come by, if they take the green, they let me go from pit lane, and I'm supposed to slot in behind everybody, which sucks nuts big time. I wasn't really that worried about it because honestly, and also the other thing I need to explain is that and I know that this is a lot of bullshit jargon that you guys don't understand, but in this, because there weren't enough GT cars to have their own group, GT and most of the prod cars, production cars were were all put in the same group. And I was mistaken to call it mod earlier. It's production. Mod is the solo division, but production is the road race division. So they put all of these people in my group. So you've got GT1 cars out there, which are basically Trans Am. Matter of fact, there were some Trans Am cars there that are, just trying to get points for the runoffs. And the thing is that we're late in the season, and anybody that was in the area that had missed a race or had a bad race or blown an engine or whatever, they're all there that weekend trying to get enough points to move on to the runoffs. So they didn't have enough for GT to have its own class, but they had everything from GT1 cars, which were, again, usually V8 Trans Am cars, GT2, which at that time was mostly, Porsche 911s and that sort of thing. And then GT3, which is what I was in, which were some older road race cars. I was running in a 924. There was a couple of RX-7s that, just some various things. So, and then you have all of the prod cars behind us, which are, fucking whatever, dude. I don't even know what all those things were, but they're all slow. They're literally seconds a lap slower. And so I get out there, I'm in my warm up. So I get a 15-minute warm up session, which realistically is about 3 laps. If there's no traffic. And so on my last lap out, so I go and I do my warm up lap, and I figure out where everything is. I do a flyer as much as I could in traffic to see where my braking points needed to be, what my tires were going to be like. And I came back around to my last lap, and I know that I'm not going to get another full lap. So before they go before they checker the warm up. So as I come up next to this girl, I'm underneath her, and we're not really on banking, but we're up in a corner. And as I come up on her, I just ease over and just a little tap, little love tap. And she's like, shocked. And I just motored away. Like I'm so much faster than this car. It's not even funny. So I just motor away, finish my session, come back. Now my car's all fiberglass, so I don't give a fuck. And I pull in, go to my pit, my paddock area, shut the car off, and here this girl is comes right up. Actually, basically, shut her car off and basically stalked over to me. And she says, "You hit me." And I said, "Yeah, you're damn right I did." And I said, I don't know how fast I am, but I'm at least 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster than you. And I have to finish this race. I don't have to win it, but I have to finish it to get points for the runoffs. And if you get anywhere near me when that green flag drops, I am going to put you in the wall. I promise you. I'm not even going to if you were anywhere near me at any point during this race, I'm just I'm just gonna put you in a wall because there's no way that I am gonna risk you hitting me and taking me out. Again, I told you I was really aggressive back when I was a younger man, because I was a young man and I did young man things. So she must have told the entire small bore field, like all of from H to E production. Those guys, so the green flag, they do the formation lap, they come around, green flag drops, they go, they eventually let me go. I come flying out of pit lane onto onto the track. And as I approached the field, it was like the parting of the Red Seas, dude. I mean, I didn't have another car challenge me until a GT3 car challenged me. Well, I mean, it wasn't much of a challenge, but it kind of got in my way as I went around it. And I think I ended up like 7th overall, second in class or third in class, some shit like that. But I got my points to go to the runoffs. Now I didn't go to the runoffs because at Road Atlanta, the following event, my partner in the car destroyed the motor and threw a fit and ended up causing some more damage to the car, which was a real problem and taught me a lesson about being partners in race cars, which I never did again. But at Memphis, so what we have now, what we've been talking about this whole time is you have this entitled girl who thinks that because her dad runs things and she's a girl that she can do whatever the fuck she wants. She doesn't have to get better. She doesn't have to compete at the same level as everybody else. And all the dudes just bent over and fucking took it. They fucking took it, except me, and I did not. And I told her point blank that I was going to put her in the damn wall if she came anywhere near me. 100%. And I meant it. I promise you I would have. I had actually on the 924 on every car since on every car that I've ever built, the front bumper of my car, it may look normal, but I promise you it's fucking reinforced enough that I can push you off the track with that front bumper and not damage my car. I promise you that's the way it is because I do it every single one of them. I did every single time. And so as I'm, I come off the track. I have to go to Park Firm tech inspection. So I go to Park Firm, and basically we're not allowed to touch a car. So we pull in, turn the car off, get out. I gotta go stand there until the tech guys tell me I can leave, which can take a while. And I'm standing there and I'm kind of waiting. I'm fucking hot. Somebody gives me a bottle of water. I don't know, whatever the fuck happened. I had no girlfriend at this time, which was really cool. So I was just kind of like, I didn't have anyone talking to me. I was just really chill. It was really cool. And this dude comes over to me, and I kind of, he's wearing an official's shirt. So he comes over and he says, "Hey man, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good, man. I did all right. It's a pretty good run, pretty good race." He says, "Cool. We talk for a few minutes. We're pleasant. And he's like, "Hey man, I'm the RE." He's like, I'm not gonna say her name, but I'm, we use Karen. I'm Karen's dad. So, oh fuck, it's going through my mind. Literally, like in my head, I was like, "Fuck me, god damn it!" I was almost clear. Like, Jesus, how did I get here? What happened? Why? How? What unlucky star did I get this far? And now he's gonna bounce me. He's gonna, he's just, I'm gonna be gone for, he's gonna tell me pack my shit and leave. And so I'm waiting, I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" You got to imagine, that I was a much younger looking dude. Probably looked a little bit disreputable. I don't know. But I was in a driver's suit. I probably looked okay. So I'm standing in front of this dude and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for him to say something. I'm waiting for him to lower the fucking boom. And you know what he does? He says, listen, man, my daughter told me what you did the other day and what you said. And then, I was a little concerned. He said, but you ran a clean race and she stayed out of your way. And, I just want to tell you, man, I appreciate what you did. And I was like, what the fuck? The fuck did you just say? What? So nobody had ever told this stupid girl no, or don't fucking do that, or there will be consequences, apparently. Anyway, so he told me that he's been trying, he's told her a million times to drive better, all that shit. Apparently his wife, her mom, is like just kind of tells her she can do whatever she wants. She's girl power, all that bullshit. And he kind of been hoping that she would actually crash and destroy the car. But that hadn't happened, and again, all the dudes are being, so here's the thing. All the men were being men and being nice and polite and doing the right thing of trying to be nice to this girl. But what she really needed was to be taken out behind the woodshed and a good spanking. And she never got that. But when I came by and I was, stupid, young, dumb, full of something, and gave zero fucks before that was a saying, I told her I'll fucking put you in a wall. And that, and it's which, by the way, controlled aggression is what makes really good race car drivers. If you ever want to know what makes if you can be a race car driver or not, if you do not have controlled aggression, you'll never make it. But so this guy literally came over, told me, we talked for probably half an hour. He thanked me, and I went on about my life. And I don't know if she ever got better or not, but that experience apparently did, at least for that weekend, change her behavior, because on Sunday's race, it was the same thing. Now that, since I had placed highly in Saturday's race, I didn't have to start from pit lane. I was able to start. I think I started like 6th or 7th back, and I forget actually. Fuck, it's been so long. But I started near the front, and I never saw her except when I lapped her, like 15, 18 minutes in the race, and that was no drama at all because I was just fucking hammered down. Again, when you have speed differential between cars, somebody has to use some damn common sense. And the car that's being overtaken has to not do anything stupid, or the car that is overtaking will fuck you up. And that's just the way of it. It's just the way it is. There's no, can't get around it. So anyway, so that's a really good story about how you guys should always kind of be that way, right? Like you need to be that way. You need to stand up for yourself. And if something's wrong, you say something's wrong. You say, hey, this is bullshit. I'm not going to do it. It's wrong. All right. So since it's story time tonight, I'll just continue on. I got another one for you guys. Let's talk about how people can fuck themselves. So you guys probably don't know this, but I'm a competitive shooter. I shoot 3-gun at a pretty high level. And there for a while back in 2018, 2019, 27, well, probably 2016 through 2019, I shot a major match a month at least, every all summer. And then I would train during the off season, and and I was competing at a pretty high level, and I knew everybody, it was a circuit, but I basically, when I retired, I traded race cars for race guns, and that's what I did. And part of this was, traveling all across the country, because that's where the ranges are, and you go where the ranges are so you can shoot. So I had this, there was this matchup, and this is all financial stuff. This isn't really behavioral stuff. This is financial stuff. This is how don't be a fucking schmuck, okay? Um, use your damn brain when it comes to money. If you don't, you're probably going to be fucked up. So I have I just fucked with the focus big time. I had a place I shot at. It was called Rock Castle, and it was in Kentucky, right outside of Bowling Green, in Cave City or Mammoth City, something like that. I forget what. Anyway, it was in the Cave City area or Mammoth, whatever. And it is huge, man. It's like 2,000 acres. There was a cave you could shoot in, or they could run a stage in this cave. It had we could do like 500-600 yard, multiple 500 or 600 yard shots, multiple ways to run stages. They had bays. I mean, they had Cowboy Town. They had everything. It was really a badass shooting facility. And I'm using this as an example of, look, guys, if you're going to invest your money, if you're going to go out and be businessmen, and girls too, if you're going to try and be in business and you're going to spend money, and you're going to try and build something, build it right. Because if you don't build it right, you're going to get fucked. And if you go to buy a business, because I told you in an episode or two ago that I believe that everybody should own a business, and a good way to do that is to buy one. So I have this really cool story with Rock Castle. So I started going to Rock Castle. I loved it. It's a great place, fucking shooting mecca. And you would think that this place would be printing money because they had contracts with SIG and HK and fucking everybody to do publicity shots there and come down and have their to do all of their photography and do whatever they needed, because you could do whatever. I mean, it had so much space. If you wanted to put a zip line up and film a guy shooting from a zip line, you could do that. It was no problem. Plenty of area. But the two dudes that ran it and owned it were fucking idiots. They were really, I think, in it for the clout aspect of it. And we get into this a lot. I talk a lot about clout and clout chasing and all of that kind of thing. And it's because I have repeatedly seen in life how this works out. So back in 2018, there starts to be signs in my eyes of financial issues. The equipment wasn't really getting replaced as it needed, and the between match stuff was not being handled the way that it should be between matches, with props and things moved off out of the way. And it was just really, it looked like, and they had this hotel there that needed a bunch of work, and it seemed like they got it to kind of okay, and then they just kind of quit working on it. Understand that, when you're talking about, one of these matches, and they put on, they were putting on not a match, they were putting on over a match a month. And, you're talking about, your average entry fee was like $350, and you would have, you'd have there, you could run, like a 400 shooter match pretty easily. So, for a match, you could bring in $100,000 in revenue on a single match, and you could do that, say 8 or 9 times a year. And so that, this is not a bullshit business that I'm talking about. Like, this is kind of real fucking money, right? If you had a business that made $140,000 in revenue every month, but that only cost you like $20,000, that's pretty fucking good business. But anyway, and it had a golf course. It was like everything. And the interesting thing is, when we got in the books, everything was in the red. I mean, pardon me, everything was in the black except for the hotel, which was in the red, and they claimed that siphoned away all the money, which I don't think is the truth. We never did really figure out where the money went. So 2018, we noticed that there's a article in the, or not an art, there was an advert in the paper that they were going to do a bank auction for back taxes of like 1.8 million. Well, that's pretty fucking weird, but they somehow got that stayed. And then the following October, I think, no, the following August, they actually came out, the bank came out and put up a sign that it was going to be sold at auction, the whole thing. And of course, the owners were just totally fucking out there with it. And I'm like, well, this is fucked up, right? This is pretty fucked up. So I get involved because, the hue and cry is going out in the shooting community. Please, somebody buy Rockcastle. So I got with a few of my friends, 4 of them, and I said, well, let's go buy it. And they owe $5 million. So I was going to pull that out of my own pocket. So when I reached out to 3 other guys, we came up with a plan to buy Rockcastle. The problem is that we were trying to, the problem that the mistake I made is I was trying to go through the owners, and the owners wanted us basically to pay off the $5 million, but they wanted to maintain the last offer I had from them, which is fucking ridiculous. Anybody that knows business is going to laugh their asses off. They wanted to retain 40% ownership in the business. Now, there is no fucking way that if I come in and bail your ass out for $5 million, you don't get shit. You're going to be lucky to stay employed, let alone you're definitely not going to own any of it. And that's what we told them. We didn't tell them quite as bluntly, but we told them that we would probably be willing to keep them on in a managerial component under oversight, but more than likely weren't going to keep them very much more. And they didn't like that. And then they tried to do like 4 different deals where they had a restaurant or a hotel company was going to buy the property and all this shit. What I should have done is I should have just gone and bought it out of fucking auction, because it goes through auction, gets broken up, the whole thing's fucking gone. And so I get asked about this a lot these days, because everybody's like, well, what happened with Rockcastle? Why did it go away? Not you guys, obviously, you don't know about it, but in the community. And what happened is I'm not a retard. An R word. I'm not. Those motherfuckers were lying. I looked at their financials. First of all, the financials they sent me over were fucking hilarious. Like, there's only idiots do such things. So that was first thing. First thing was the financials were shit. Then they wanted that maintain some ownership, which was never going to fucking happen. Then they had there was just such a mystery as to where all the fucking money went. Like, seriously, we're talking probably. So we documented they were in business 10 years. They made $12 million. Somehow they were $5 million in debt, which is impossible in fucking state of Kentucky. It's just fucking impossible. It's Kentucky. It's like nothing's expensive there unless it's a Corvette. So I couldn't figure it out, man. I still haven't figured it out. I mean, I have theories, but I don't fucking know. I don't know. But I just, I personal opinion is I think that there's a fucking basement somewhere with boxes of cash stashed in it, and these guys were just fucking embezzling from their own company, and lying to everyone about it. So that was another thing. So anyway, if you're going to go buy a business, which I think you should, I think everybody should own a business, and I think everybody should probably buy one that's already built. Before you go out and just fucking buy something, understand the fucking metrics, man. Understand the money. Understand how it makes money. And if the numbers don't make sense, you have to ask a lot of questions. Like, how is it that every single component of that business was making fucking money except one component, and that component, the one component that wasn't making money, it was only in the red. It was only in the red because they were like billing that there was so much, they were billing all kinds of staff and stupid shit through it that didn't make any sense. So it would have been honestly, it would have been at least basically breaking even, but the math did not math out. And if you're in a situation like that, the math matters, man. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to understand not just the business. 'Cause look, I don't know anything about running a shooting range. Okay, I mean, I go to them and I give them a lot of money, but I don't know anything about running it. But I do know basic numbers, and I understand that your labor cost is this, your upkeep is this, and all that. So when I'm looking at one number where you're making per single event, you're making between $100 and $150,000 per event. Plus, there's smaller events where you make 10, 12 grand over the course of a month. Plus, you've got a winery that's in the black. You have a golf course that's in the black. You have some other fucking business that was on the property that was in the black. How the fuck is it that you owe $5 million to anybody? Like that's not possible unless there's something you're not disclosing. And you have to ask that, which is why I didn't buy it. I should have bought it. And what I really should have done is once I cut ties with the two guys who were trying to the owners who were trying to sell it so they could go to the bank and pay it off. Once I cut ties with those guys, what I should have done is I should have gone over to the auction and bought the whole fucking thing for much less money and much less trouble. I probably wouldn't have gotten it all, but I'd have gotten most of it. So look, again, own a business. It's important. It's build one, buy one. Personally, I'm a big fan of buying them, let somebody else build them and go through all the headache and all, and spend all the kinds of money for nothing and move on. Big fan of that. I believe in that almost more than I believe in anything else. But regardless of what kind of business it is, do basic math. And if you don't understand the math, if it's really that complex, hire an accountant, hire a forensic accountant. I got lucky. I married my wife is not an accountant, but she was an auditor early in her career. And so you can't hide money from her. What if you can't afford to buy one? Partnerships. Find partners, pool your money, build a line of credit. I prefer to buy. I just do. And there's always a deal to be made. Buying a business isn't like buying a car. You don't go to the bank and get a loan to buy a car. If you want to buy a business, you have to be really careful. I talked about this in the last episode, so I don't know that I really want to bore the 8 people that are listening to this with the details here. But if you're going to buy a business, the number one thing you got to do is understand what that business is really worth. I almost bought a gun shop for 10 cents on the dollar for the inventory, which would have been probably 15, 20 grand, maybe, because they had about I think they had maybe $100,000, maybe $150,000 in inventory. And the building wasn't, I mean, the building's worth $10 million, but they didn't want to sell me the building. So then they have to do an extended lease for me to even consider it. And they didn't really want to do that. So fuck those guys. You also have to be willing to just say, fuck you. Right. Like this is something in our society that I think that people think that you need fuck you money to be able to say fuck you, but you really don't. Look, if it's not the right deal, just say fuck you and walk out. I mean, you don't have to physically say fuck you. You can be polite and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry. This is not the right deal for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to walk out." It's the same thing. If I go to buy a car and they want to give me some bullshit deal, I'm going to be like, "Man, I'm sorry, man. I really hope we could get there, but we can't. So sorry. I'm out. I'm done. Not going to do it." And that's the way it is. If I were to start again financially from zero, what would I do to get started? I like that. That's a good question. That's a learner. We'll call that a learner. From zero, I would get a job and I would save and I would scrimp and I would save and I would scrimp. And when I had probably somewhere between 20,000, somewhere between 20 and 50,000, instead of going out and buying a cool car or buying a house or buying some other piece of shit, I would start shopping businesses. And I would probably start with something I know. So I know cars. I know a bunch of different things, really. But so I opened my first shop with. Oh, actually, I got better. So I bought a mechanic shop in California for $10,000 because that's all the equipment was worth. The equipment was only actually worth $5,000. They claimed they had some, like reputation, brand recognition, whatever the fuck. That wasn't worth anything. So you can't overpay, right? Like it doesn't matter, right? Like if they probably don't, if you want to buy a business, go buy a business, right? Like be serious about it, but understand what businesses are actually worth. Businesses themselves aren't worth anything. It doesn't matter if they made $1 million last year. That's no guarantee they're going to make $1 million in the coming year. So what you have to do, first thing is, all right, if I was going to buy $1 million business today, and they only had, and they were a contract business, or they whatever, their income, their revenue wasn't guaranteed in some, or not guaranteed, but if their revenue wasn't predetermined, constant, if you will, and they were trying to sell the business for $1 million because they anticipated it to. They were anticipating 7% growth or whatever. So the business currently is worth $500,000 or $600,000, but they're anticipating like massive growth, new expansion, new sectors, whatever. So they want $800,000 for it. I would make a deal where I would write the contract so that I give them like maybe $200,000 up front. And which I know you don't, you're starting from zero. I'm just kind of moving down the road a little bit. I would start by writing a contract for $200,000 up front, or within a given period, right? Like, I take over the business. I give you $10,000 in earnest money, and I pay you because you're saying the business makes, $200,000 a quarter at the end of the first quarter. I'll pay you your $200,000. If you don't do that, they get the business back. If you do that, then you have another payment to make. And then you do what's called an earn-out, which means that the cost of the business is based on how much what they tell you is going to happen happens. So if they say that you're going to have 15% growth, you say, okay, we'll do an earn-out. I'll pay you. If it actually hits 15% growth, I'll pay you $1 million. If it doesn't, I'll pay you 800,000. And then, either it makes it or it doesn't, and you just do it. But I bought a mechanic shop in California for $10,000. It was only worth $5,000 really, but I gave him $10,000. I made that back the first month, and just kept going. It's not a big deal. But you have to understand how to buy businesses, right? Like there's a mechanic shop for sale right now in Nashville for $150,000, and it's gonna be for sale for the next year until whoever owns it decides to just shut the fucking doors, and then somebody else will move into that space for the cost of rent, and then build that business back up and not pay $150,000 for it. You have to understand that a business is only worth its physical assets on a depreciated scale, and that's it. Unless it has contracts or income coming in and it has a proven track record of moving ahead. An auto shop does not. It just doesn't. So understand what business are you trying to be in, dude? What's going on? What do you got? I'm boring Jess to hell. Got people dropping out of this like flies, but Andrew's on, so I understand it. But I'll talk to you about finance, dude. I'll talk about business. I like talking about business. They're dropping like flies. They're all gone. So the other reason I wanted to do this tonight, and I'm sorry, I probably should have led off with this when we had 10 people in here instead of 6. I'm going to be gone for the week. I'm probably not going to stream while I'm gone, and so when I get back, I'm going to I'm changing the format. I'm going to take probably a week to build and develop the studio properly, and I'm really going to work on making this a better, more finished product than me sitting up here stumbling through words. I'm just starting out building a sound design company for music producers. I was working for one; they were doing $400,000 a month. What part of the country are you in there, Austin? Nashville or California? It's about to fucking thunderstorm here, guys. Guaranteed. Yeah, I figured you had to be in California or Nashville one. Well, rule number one is don't do business in California. So that would be the first thing is I can get the fuck out of California. I did actually. I lived up to my own advice. I fucking left California because they're fucking murderous sons of bitches. Financially, that is. Even after you leave, they're going to want more money from you. But if you do stay there, I mean, if I were starting out to do a sound design company for music producers, are you talking about? Are you going to provide a space or are you providing equipment? And again, I would get the fuck out of California, dude. I mean, there's other places that need sound. Honestly, if I were going to start something right now, I would do. If I were going to do something right now, I would probably do it in. It's all online. Fuck, dude, move to fucking Alabama where you pay like $800 a month rent or some shit. I mean, fuck, hot chicks and hot weather and mosquitoes big as fucking birds, but still, it's cheap. Yeah, listen. All right, so it's all online. So where's your cost at? That's fucking killer. What that's how you found me. I'm fucking famous. Um what's so what do you advertise this shit or what? It's all online. I mean, could you work in like outer fucking Mongolia or what? What's the deal? Everybody's about to get fucking bored. It's about to be a fucking thunderstorm here. I'm probably going to move in the house and go in and go to bed. The reason I did this so early tonight, gang, is because I got to be on a fucking early ass flight that I'm not flying. Yep, there's the rain right there. Fucking raining like shit. You get fucking drenched when I go back in the house. Oh, I got you. Right. Okay. So, yeah. Right, right. So that kind of business model, that's a tough one, man. It's almost like a subscription model, it looks sounds like. And that's I think you're going about it probably the right way, where you do as much as you can to start out, and then you just hire in people down the road. Um, that's probably really the right way to do it. So yeah, that is probably. I don't know that I could help you out there, man. It sounds like you got it. You're gonna have to if you could find, but again, realistically, there's no cost to this. You know what I mean? So you know. All right, guys. Um, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. I guess everybody's over watching Andrew tear up somebody. Um, hey, man, no problem. Look, I hate to be like, kind of a wet blanket on this deal. I think that you're already doing the right thing. I don't know that there's a magic bullet that I could give you. The magic bullet that I would give you in generically is if you have to determine whether you are a better doer or a manager. If you can manage it, great. If you're a doer, if you're a builder, hire a manager at some point, and not necessarily to manage you yourself, but manage the um hire somebody to manage the process that can also be part of the process. You know what I'm saying? I guess hopefully I'm being clear. The worst thing that most people have is time management and an idea of what everything is worth and how to make it make money. Um, yeah, I get that. Dude, I understand. I get trying to hire a team and all of that. I understand. Yeah. Okay. Well, you got a good plan, man. I think that you got it. You're probably, um, you know, it's probably not a really super difficult thing to do. It's just time, and you got to put in the time equity, as you said, and move forward. So, yeah, this is going to be one of the shorter ones. But again, guys, really the thing that I wanted to do is talk to you about talk to you a little bit about how fucked up we're making our kids, which is terrible. We need to stop that. If you know of I mean, backup parents too, that have shit like that going on. So if you uh, you know try and be better, people. We all need to try and be better. Last thing before I go, guys, this is going to be a really short one. Again, the biggest reason I came on tonight really was I'm going to be gone. We're going to completely revamp everything when I get back. So I might be down for a week or two, maybe. I don't know. We might throw some quickies in there just to, keep you guys satisfied. I don't want you, getting any DSB or anything like that. But once I'm back at it, we'll be in an actual studio. I think we will have a really good lighting. I have all of the proper things to have a really good lighting setup. I'm still learning how to use it, and I gotta learn on my own. I could hire a guy out of Nashville, I guess, but why would I do that? And we'll have a new format. We'll have it'll be a little bit more refined and hopefully keep me from rambling on like I have. Jess, I really do appreciate you for the support. I don't know who else is still on, Garris or any of the other dudes that are out there being themselves. Flan Life, I don't know if you're out there still. Tiki Tack, Garrus Godfrey, Rye Guy, all you guys. Um, like I said, I'll be off for. I don't know. I may try and stream while I'm in another country. I just don't know how it's going to work out. So do the uh, you couldn't relate to what I was talking about. That's fine. AC fan, look, all you guys are troopers, man. And the right guy, I don't. Yeah, no, honestly, a lot of people can't relate to what I'm talking about. So, but I appreciate you listening, man. That's cool. Again, different format when I come back. I really want to. I really want to start having more remote in guests. There is a possibility that I'll do in the future. Uh, I might have live guests, depending on how I get the studio done, or we would do a remote out to a different studio. We will see how it goes. You guys have been pretty. You guys have been pretty supportive, and I appreciate it. I have to go get ready for my ridiculously early flight in the morning, and I'm going to sign off here in just a minute. I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of thoughts, and not the THOTS kind. All of the red pill, all of the manosphere, Brian, Andrew, all these guys, we're all talking about kind of the same thing, and that is men, if not actually oppressed, are at least devalued um, in the current climate, and it's so strange to me that we have so many women out there today that are fucked up. They're actual 304s, are actual whores in a lot of cases, and they act like it's the man's fault, but yet it's men are being oppressed, discriminated against, whatever however you want to say it, basically from birth. And I don't know where it ends. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how to stop it. But I'll leave you with these thoughts. Well, hold on. Austin's what's my opinion of these women who come on the whatever pod? Funny you should ask. Well, some of them are okay. I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here. So I think even the conservative women that come on are typically still not ideal. Like they're not ideal women. Okay. They're not. Look, I mean, like, Priya was on last night. She seems nice. She seems pretty based, but I mean, she will literally have to have a top dude to support the lifestyle that she expects to have. And she's honestly, look, I know AC, I know you love her. She's your speed, dude, but she's like a 6'5", maybe a 7. Last night she was like a 6'5", honestly. I thought she did not look that good last night. That's just me. But Priya, was it Lorna? What her fuck her name was? turning. I think she's a Turning Point chick. Morgan, a Turning Point girl. They've come on several times. Mary. So Mary, I actually think is actually pretty brutally honest and based, but she doesn't come on anymore. I don't know why. They've had some, like they had that woman that had been in the army that I can't remember. I don't remember her name, but she was talking about how she was now, some big. I mean, she was a conservative, whatever. So the problem is, what this right here is pretty fucking accurate. Not always, but they're not necessarily all fake, but they all have an agenda that I don't know that I agree with. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and it has nothing to do with the show, and it would probably ruin the show. But in my opinion, I personally would prefer to see no OF girls, or pardon me, no TradCon girls, and no like, well, I look, the OF girls and the stupid hose 304s, whatever. They're look, I know what to expect from them. The TradCon girls are often very disingenuous. Um, yeah. All right, so I'm going to answer two things here. So Layla, I think I couldn't tell whether that was an act or whether she was like being legit. For an act, she put a lot of fucking effort in it. But yeah, she's off the fucking scale. So's the other one. Fucking, I can't remember her name. She's on the other night, and she's not cute. Sometimes like, yeah. So this is true. I can't remember I'm not going to go look it up. Somebody else will. The thing with Priya is I really, really want her to be like fucking real. The problem is it's in California and there's nothing fucking real there. So this is my problem with whatever as it stands right now. It's a great fucking idea. It's a great fucking execution. The problem is that he is in California, which is literally the last bastion of hell on earth. And he needs to move. What he needs to do is he needs to go mobile. He needs to go spend a month in fucking Nashville, a month in Atlanta, a month in fucking Boston, Tampa, St. Pete, and just where there's like 5 or 6 colleges around, and he can get, he can get new girls, new material all the time, and not just keep kind of recycling the same ones. At this point, the big problem I have is that we're recycling too much, and I do believe that the girls are so disingenuous now that that the quality of the show is being eroded. And I really hate that because I really enjoy the show and I think that it has a lot of merits. And he needs to get that shit sorted out. So yeah, the Mormon bishop thing. I mean, just her whole story. Look, Layla's whole story was fucked up and kind of messed up and wrong. I mean, the bishop thing, the porn thing, the relationship with who the fuck ever was fucked up. I don't know. It was all fucked up. So, it's I don't know. It's interesting. All right, guys. It is literally thunderstorming outside. I am going to I'm going to sign off here in a minute. Well, fuck, where we at? That's why he needs to move out of California since he can't bring new guests due to the repetition of the show. Brian said himself. Yes, and I have told him multiple times that he's welcome. I mean, he can base out of. I have places he can base out of. I mean, as a matter of fact, I looked into there's there's some very inexpensive office space that he could rent and set up a studio in for a month or 2 months and just fucking rail. Um, yeah, right. It's the same topic as conversation. And look, these girls have watched the show. They know what's up. You know, they brief each other. They cover for each other. They fucking lie like nonstop. And I love Brian, man. He's doing the Lord's work. He's doing such a great job, or he started out doing such a great job, and now, you know, all he's doing is creating more stress for himself. The real problem is not that the show is suffering. I mean, that's a problem. It's not the real problem. The real problem is that Brian is suffering to the point where he's just not effective. He's just not um he's not he's not putting on a good product either. He tries really hard, and sometimes he gets lucky. But last night's show was terrible, you know, and you know Andrew saves him a lot. You know, um, he does need to delegate. Um, yeah. Okay, I'm going to put this on. I don't. I don't know that this is true. I think that Brian. All right. Let me. Fuck. God damn it. All right, guys. Here's the deal. I think Brian is. I think Brian's seriously considering moving the show or making it or making it mobile or whatever. The problem is in his mind, he has a working formula, but he also at the same time he knows that the formula is getting stagnant. While the views continue to, it looks like the views stay the same, but um, it's it's not growing, right? Like it should, but it's not actually growing in the way that it should grow. Now, is it is it where he wants it to be? Maybe, you know. Um, maybe he just doesn't want to move out of California. Maybe he's happy with the way things are. Maybe he's happy with a with the status quo for now. I don't know that that's the truth. I don't think it's the truth. I don't know Brian well enough to assume anything, and I certainly don't know him well enough to guess at what he's doing or what he's willing to do. Now that said, I think that the content of the show is starting to go down. I'm at the point now. Well, of course, I have said for a long time that me being able to actually watch the show was a luxury that I had only because I just happened to be able to set up my time that way, and it would not last. Um, and at the same time, the show's kind of going downhill. So not only is my time more constrained, I can't watch as much. I also the show's not as good. So even if I like last night, I probably could have stayed up another hour, but I just went to bed. The show, I knew what the show was going to be like. I kind of knew which direct, and I can always watch it on reruns or watch it on video, so it's not that big a deal to me. I would love for the show to grow and go back to being new and not new, but newer and kind of different and not always OF girls and actually have more college girls or have, all, like I don't know what shows. He did a bunch of good shows in the beginning. Again, the problem is that he has saturated his market. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows what's going on. Um, it's just not really possible right now for him to solve it without what most of us would consider a drastic measure. And I'm not sure that he's ready to do it. I don't know. I talked to Brian via Instagram, dude. I don't have a direct line. I don't call him up. Um, I don't. You know, I think I weird him out a little bit because I'm just not that. Because I don't know. I think I weird him out a little bit because I'm just not really as concerned, I guess, about the my history and everything. Because if honestly, if you can't find out who I am in like one Google search, you're pretty fucked up. Um, my opinion, best way he can make the show better is move and bring on different girls. He seems unwilling or unable to do that currently. I think that he had like some idea to buy a camper and drive around. I think that'd be a bad move. I think that um, with the equipment that he needs, he could ship that ahead. Like it's mic stands, um, his laptop. He's probably got a computer that runs everything on the backside, another computer that runs everything on the backside, a couple of soundboards, all that stuff is, I mean, that would be one travel case for like a professional, like gig setup. It wouldn't even be a big deal. Like that could be sent anywhere in the world. And, so the first thing I think the way to make it better is to take it mobile, go to different colleges, interview college age women, um, you know, stay for a week or two, place some Craigslist ads, get some or whatever, get some ads for various things and or girls, and maybe get some older women on there, but that are real women that don't really have an agenda and who do not maybe don't even have Instagram. I don't know. Um, Funny when the girls get triggered, yes, obviously, or just bring on men. Yeah, so he does. I mean, I think the problem with bringing on a bunch of men is men won't really sit around and talk about it. Let me see what's the guy here. Yeah, okay, that right. So even when he has women travel, they always have an agenda. So, which is, I mean, everybody has an agenda. I would have an agenda. Huge mixer and massive desktop computer with a bunch of screens. Haha, he needs a small. Yeah, I mean, but still, you know, again, that's okay. So it's two travel cases, right? Like, I mean, dude, I moved the fucking race team. Like, don't talk to me about moving equipment across country in a hurry. I fucking moved cars. I mean, my trailer. I mean, hang on, you guys got you know what, motherfuckers? Let me show you something. Give me 1 second. Let me dig this out here. I'm gonna have to go here. There. That's not really it. Not what I want. There we go. You guys gonna have, I mean, I don't know if I have pictures of the semi. I got other pictures. I got too much shit open, that's for sure. Oh, no. All right. So I can move a lot of shit. Don't talk to me about moving shit, dude. I, that's a big one. That thing's a legal limit. Like you literally can't buy a bigger trailer than that. And so I moved shit all the way across. I moved shit across country every day, and it was no problem. All right, I got another one here. Let me see if I can find another one. I got see if I can find more of my cool stuff. Let's see. Da, da, da. I don't know. Where's the semi at? Let's see. So I used to move stuff all over the place, and and so when people talk about, oh man, it's so much to move this stuff, I mean, you could literally fly with. I think I could put together a travel setup that would that where it would fly and would be no problem. I don't have a picture of the entire fucking truck. How do I end up with no pictures of a goddamn semi? I mean, that's damn it. This is annoying. No pictures of the whole thing. Oh, well, anyway, whatever. All right, whatever. That's the back of it. Let's see if I can find it again. We'll just fucking do that. If we can do this, we can do anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking car going in a trailer. All right. I fucking love this. God damn it, AC. You're right. You're absolutely right, dude. This is a problem with being in California to begin with, right? The girls are all fucking psycho and they're all, and where he is, they're all whores. Every single one of them. Like, actually, I was listening to this podcast one time and it was it may have been whatever. I don't think it was, but it was this dude, and he says dating in LA is actually really easy. Well, how's that? Well, all you got to do is walk up to a girl and say, "I love your work." Now, anywhere in the country, that would be like, she'd be like, "The fuck are you talking about?" But in LA, she'll be flattered. She'll be like, "Really? Oh, that's fucking awesome. I've got something new coming out the next few weeks and it's going to be awesome. Here's my card. What's your email? I'll send it to you." Right? Like, they all have OF, they all have fucking, their Instagram models, their influencers, their actresses, their wannabe actresses, whatever fuck it is. Every single fucking one of them. So it doesn't matter. You just walk up and be like, "I love your work. You are so good. Just amazing." And motherfucker, you were in like Flynn. I mean, you're getting laid that night. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to tell you. They're all whores and they're all on, and they all want to be on camera somewhere. So that's why the argument that someone made the other night that the 304s were that it was that fucking RC guy. He was like, well, they're all OF girls. I'm like, no, they're not. Well, they all have Instagrams. They only want to be there on there if they because they're promoting something. Like, bitch, it's California. They all are like that. Like, it's LA in California. So I disagree with what you just said, Jess. I'm going to put that up there in a minute, so you might want to get your reply ready. At the end of the day, I believe that. No, I know that moving out of California will make the show better. It will, because he will be able to go to normal colleges and interview normal people. He could even go to a church. He could have people from a church on, an actual church, not, what passes for one in California. And I think that's what really annoys Andrew. I don't know that for certain. I could ask. It's interesting because I talk to Andrew pretty often, but I think Andrew is annoyed because of the derelict and just delusional state of California, and I think that's why he remotes in. He doesn't want to go there anymore because it's a fucking problem. Trying to trigger my socials are locked up. I'm from California. Let's see. Let me throw this up there. When I went down to work on his pod, literally every single girl on the street was wearing lingerie or bikinis. I was shocked. No, dude, it's California. It's fuck. No, Jess, it's not all major cities. Here in Nashville, for example, which I rarely go to, you don't see girls in lingerie. And if you walk up to a random girl and say that you like her work, she's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because she's not an OF girl. She's not a lingerie model. She's not in porn. Just doesn't, I mean, some of them are, I'm sure. It is Nashville, but, it's like LA Light. Let's see. Yeah, social's locked up. I'm from SoCal. You're not from SoCal. Not the same. Why would they come on? Maybe Brian needs to pay normal women to come on, to be honest. Because they're women. And women want to gab. They want to talk. They're worse than men about that. Of the people that I have, when I tell people that I have, that I stream, all right. So if I tell, I actually had this reaction the other day. I told a couple of dudes, my flight instructor and the guy doing my tile, different lines of work. Both of the men that I told, hey, I stream, they're like, oh, that's cool. They didn't even ask for the fucking link. I told a girl the other day, I want to say, I don't know what she does. No matter. I was talking to just some random deal, and I said, hey, I've got to do my stream tonight, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, yeah, what do you stream? It's just commentary and stuff. Well, can I be on it? Well, you don't even know what I do. Okay. Well, it's cool, though. So the interesting thing is that I don't know that she was joking. I kind of thought at the time she was joking, but probably not. And I'm not going to out where I'm not going to out where she was working or whatever. I'll think you're talking about her music in Nashville. Nah, not really. Honestly, the number of women that I meet that claim to be musicians in Nashville is pretty low. Men men are on the other. I mean, that's like every dude here is like a musician of some kind. Very not nearly as many women. Some, not many. Nightclub, blah, whatever. Based women are also shy of things like this. Jess, Kath, and Nat won't even come on your stream. Yeah, that's okay. I don't even. I mean, Nat doesn't even bother commenting, so I don't know. Maybe I should be offended by that, but that's okay. I don't know that that's accurate. I think women want to. I think women want to be the center of attention, and I think they want that attention, even if they say they don't. Um, I could probably, without a lot of trouble, get 2 or 3 women from my church to come stream. So, yeah, yeah. So I'm not going to out where I was. I mean, I'm tempted to, but I'm not going to out where the conversation was taking place. Um, well, I did say, and I told her it was political commentary, but she doesn't know which side. I didn't tell her which side. Maybe it's a safe assumption here where I'm at that it's conservative political commentary, but I don't know that to be true. Look, Annie, Allie, Kath, and Tori are always debating in bad faith, and I don't even know that. I kind of wanted Tori on, but Tori is just, I don't know. And Allie always argues in bad faith, and Annie just argues to argue. So, I got lucky live in L.A. Only dated girls, married one. All right, see, there you go. Good job. Kudos. You know what? If there's anyone left in the chat, 07s for Austin here, he found a wife in California, which is hard. Let's see, whatever. Not an insult. Men would take work to get regular women on, whatever. Just mean it would. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think it. I don't know. Maybe I'll look and see. I'll look into that. Maybe I will. I will have a. The problem is I don't really want to have any females knowing where I live more than necessary. So I would have to have a different studio to podcast from, which is not out of the question. I could do that. So, is what it is. I disagree, Jess. I think trad women are just fine with confrontation. What they hate is they hate starting. I don't know if they hate starting a fight. They hate to be thought of as confrontational. They don't necessarily mind the confrontation. And I don't think that they I don't know. I mean it I don't have a hard rule on that, I don't think. Cuz I know trad women that they so in the South we have what we call a steel magnolia, right? Or what we were and the term's been used and misused a lot in popular culture, but the way that most old timers, if you will, reference this is that a steel magnolia is a woman who is very pretty, very soft, all the feminine things, smells good, looks good, soft skin, all of it, right? Totally feminine, pleasant voice, non-argumentative, most of the time, um, very pleasant. The steel part is the backbone, and you can't run one over. They will literally stop and, in the nicest possible way, tell you to go fuck yourself. And they can be confrontational without being nasty or rude or any of the other things. The problem is that trad women, if we want to call them that, real women do not avoid confrontation. They simply do not resort to being children during the confrontation. And that's where I think that's where I don't have to think about this. I know for a fact that that's why most of the time when I'm listening to these supposedly women from California talk, it makes my ears bleed, because they just are so disingenuous, or they act in such bad faith, and are they're 100% looking for a reaction, and they're just not really, in my opinion, they're not being proper women. Okay. Now that's my opinion. It doesn't really make a fucking difference. Anybody else? Well, I think they think before they speak, Jess. I don't. I think you're wrong about that. The difference is that them thinking and them speaking are tied together to the rudeness and the dis that's ugly. It's just tied to the ugliest part of themselves, and they let that side show more than anything else. And so that's really the problem. The problem is not that trad women are not confrontational. Trad women are actually confrontational. They do not avoid conflict. They just don't engage in conflict like children. They're not throwing mud. They're not slinging mud. They're literally they literally deal with it in an adult way, in my opinion. Now, again, I have dated back in the olden days several. Matter of fact, I think all of the women that I would consider my girlfriends, and the two women prior to my wife that I thought about marriage with, seriously, they were both steel magnolias. They were absolutely soft and feminine and so pleasant and deferential and demure. If just beautiful, but they didn't need to show skin to be the sexiest woman in the room. And you would think that you would be able to run that woman over, but you could not. And she had a backbone of steel, and she would, in a very sweet, polite way, tell you were fucking wrong, and this is the way it's going to be. So that's where I think the disconnect is. Modern society has taught women to be a bunch of bitches and assholes, and nobody likes either of those things. Let's see what we got here. Right. Let's just be honest. Candace Owens is a political animal and an online personality, actress, whatever you want to call her. Here's my look. Whatever I tell you is what I actually feel and believe. You could not necessarily convince me that what Candace Owens says she actually feels and believes most of the time. I'm not saying that she's a liar. I'm saying that she says things for effect. And So do I. I mean, I do to some degree, but I do not say things specifically for effect. And I think that that's I think to compare her to, um, I, I think that she is traditional in most ways. I'll just go with that. I think I'll go with that. All women, liberal women are disagreeable. No gray area on there. Yeah, I go with that. Yeah. Jess need to go get some of the Cali out. So it's interesting because I think that Jess, and I'll talk about her like she's not even in the damn room. I think that Jess is really probably a really good person. I think Jess needs to get out of her own way, and she overthinks things to a degree not seen since, you know, actually I don't know that we've ever seen this amount of overthinking anything, but I digress. You know, Jess needs I can't Jess needs a dude. Right? Like you need a dude. I mean, you and not like just any dude. You need a dude. And you know, things. You need things. I go with that. All right. Yeah, yep, that's accurate. Jess is here. I know. That's why I was talking about you. So many liberal women just pushovers agree with everyone because they don't want to offend anyone except the people that all their friends say it's okay to offend. You're almost right. You're very close. You were right there. Jess already made the right decision. Leave California. Give her a break. I have given her a break. I give her breaks all the time. My problem is with Jess. Poor Jess. I'm so sorry that I have to pick on you. However, Jess can't get out of her own way. She overthinks everything so much. It's just crazy. And she's really not being that Southern Belle, Steel Magnolia. She hasn't, she's not being that type of woman. And I think that she needs to be. I think that the reality is that she has to Jess has to unwind. She's got to, she's got a lot going on and she just needs to unwind. She's I almost hate to say this because I always think this is a fucking mistake, but she almost like needs a couple of girlfriends to go out with and just hang out and relax and kind of be normal. I don't know that Jess gets that a lot because she's got her sister and that kind of. I mean, just all this. Jess has a lot going on, and I know that I'm seeming like I'm picking on Jess here, but Jess has a lot going on, and you got to get out of her own way. You really do. Be normal. Yeah, I can't define normal, but I think that Jess has to get out of her own way, and I think that I don't know what to tell her. I originally I thought that Jess really needed to get laid. Like I really felt like that Jess just really needed to attempt to find some. I mean, I definitely think that she needs somebody. Um, the problem is that I think that the somebody that Jess needs, the somebody that Jess needs is probably not looking for Jess right now. Jess needs to just needs to kind of make herself a little more available. That's the right word. Um, So, I mean, I can't really. I mean, I don't know that it's just about getting back on the horse. You got to make yourself available. You're so. I mean, I wouldn't say that you're really closed off, but you're definitely not mentally there. You're not mentally available for someone. And the problem is that any man that you would want is going to take one look at you and misread your reluctance as as baggage, as a fucking problem, and they're not going to want to deal with you um because you're, I mean, kind of a mess. And when dudes think you're a mess, now some dudes will try to fix you. Um, just, but I don't think that you see, the problem is that, like, the dudes that would take you on as a project and try and fix you, you don't want, because you don't want a dude that you don't want the kind of dude that wants a project girlfriend. You want, I mean, you gotta, I mean, you, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta get some work done or something. You gotta make it happen, Captain, because you're not right now. You understand what I mean, though, right? Like, I don't look at you and see a girl that would be happy with a dude that took on a project, but at the same time, you're a project. You're not from the projects. You're just a project. Just to be clear. And that's okay. Just at least you understand that men are worth something. You know, right? Therapy session from the boys. I mean, look. You know, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but Jess, if you're going to be a project and a fixer upper, but you don't want dudes that would take a fixer upper dude, I mean, you're kind of in trouble, aren't you? I mean, you're kind of asking for that impossible set of circumstances. Yeah, get you big simp. All right, Jess, I'm going to leave you alone. Let you wallow around in this steaming pile that I've heaped upon you. And try and figure out, what's going on here. I'm gonna, you know, I don't want you to, I don't want you to be mad. You know, I don't want you to be mad. I know you think you're fine, but are you though? I'm not. I don't have to trigger anybody. Why do people think I'm trying to? It's interesting that everyone thinks that I'm angry all the time. I'm not angry. I'm very pleasant. I really thought that the Luke fellow was about to blow a gasket though earlier, because you know I made a mistake, something I read 30 fucking years ago. But I still think, I'm still going to go with that quote, because I don't know that Hemingway didn't write it. Just nobody can attribute it to him. So whatever. I don't know. I think everybody needs to lighten up. I'm really not trying to trigger you, by the way. I'm really trying to help you, but I don't know that I'm able to help you. That's my problem. I feel like that at the end of the day, I don't know that I'm doing you any good. It's fine. All right, guys. as I said earlier, when I tried to end this an hour ago, when I come back after what should be a short break, I mean, if it's possible, I may actually try and stream from Europe. I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. I might try and stream from Europe if I have like enough broadband internet and whatever. Um, we'll maybe try and stream. I doubt I'm going to try and stream, but we'll see. If I do, great. If I don't, just be aware that when I come back, I will. I'll be building a new studio, an actual studio, and trying to get everything set up right so that I can take the quality of the production to a newer level. And also, I'm going to be doing some different things in regards to the content. And I'm going to change the format of the show. I'm still working on that. We'll be probably talking about that in chat and whatnot. And I I I don't know. I think initially, I think I may go to the monologue only format and not have a co-host, and basically just have um, maybe guest once in a while, maybe guests that remote in like Spectre did. I actually really liked Spectre being on the show. I'm sorry that he missed out too much on his sleep and can no longer be on the show for whatever reason. All right, guys, I'm gonna dip out there. It seems like a nice place to stop. You guys are, as I've always said and will continue to say, I am I'm fans of you all, and there's no there's no denying you guys are tops in my book, and there's you're really cool people, and I can't wait to see you guys again. So I'm going to leave you with a little video, and we will see you guys later.